Doing it.
Okay.
Right now I did hit record.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to White Noise Night Coffee Sessions. I am here today with Katie Sims, a local poet here in Kingston. I'm like gathering all the poets on this podcast. I promise I'm not biased. I'm kidding. I totally am. And that's okay. I'm allowed to be. This is like my podcast or whatever. So yeah, I'm here with Katie Sims. We just met. We're getting along great. We've been sitting here for like 45 minutes just talking, and David's like, the clock is running, babe. Like, you gotta get started. No, he's being very courteous and just listening to me like rant about my dreams. So hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. My first question for you, who is Katie Sims?
Oh, so you're starting really easily.
Yeah.
You're warming me up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Well, wow, describing oneself is a very strange thing. Especially because I think like most of us, we're all like pretty much in process all the time. But if I had to try at least to anchor down some identity, it would be lesbian, poet, sober, partnered, curious, and very deeply in love with language and its limitations as well as its approximation and its sort of mysterious nature and its subjectivity generally. It's
Cool.
very alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll start there, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a funny question. It always like kind of catches people off guard.
Well, it's like, yeah, it is. Also just like a human, just like terribly, horribly flawed and like, figuring it out as I go,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most days.
Totally feel that.
Yeah.
Cool. So, one really interesting thing I learned about when reading your bio is I didn't know what an Angelino was. Is that how you pronounce it, or?
I mean, I'm like stunned because I didn't invent it. But I
Okay.
definitely like.
I had just never heard it before.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not born and bred. Like, I wasn't raised there, but
Yeah.
I was raised there in the sense of I spent my entire 20s, all my 20s there. And so growing up in the Midwest and then leaving the Midwest and then, figuring out I was gay, I feel like some cities like really raise you and get under your skin, and in that way I consider myself an Angelino, and I feel like because it was a decade of time I can just claim it.
Yeah.
But only
Totally.
just.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a decade is like the threshold for
Okay,
that.
cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like, I've lived on the East Coast my whole life. But honestly, I consider myself a New Yorker, even though I've only lived in New York since I was like 17.
Yeah, no, I think that lines up.
Formative years.
Yeah.
Cool. So, you grew up in the Midwest, where specifically?
Illinois.
Illinois. Oh, cool. Like in Chicago or
Yeah, like in the very boring suburbs
the
of
suburbs.
Chicago.
My best friend was also from there.
Where
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, which was cool, because it's sort of being there, I think it was like a very specific, like very charmed, very like idyllic way of growing up. But then going into the city, that was sort of the beginning of having access to other other everything else, which wasn't so homogenous and like white and like, you know. And because I like was a little baby actor, like theater was sort of my access point into like other people's stories and like really just like other ways of seeing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the big reason why I knew I had to get out, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were looking to pursue acting and theater in LA. Cool.
Yeah. So went out there, and right about the time I was ready to graduate, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. For a lot of different reasons. I mean, I just wanted a little bit more autonomy and control. Back in 2012, I was sort of grappling with my sexuality, and there were not a lot of like out actors. This was like right around the time where self-producing and sort of being a writer actor was becoming the norm. I thought it was like more going to be a top-down situation where I was just going to get typecast and like it just for lack of being delicate, actors are some of my favorite people, but I just didn't want to be a meat puppet. I wanted to just have a little bit more say in the storytelling, and so did the executive assistant thing for a while. I actually worked at Topple, which is Jill Solway's production company. I like to say I worked for the lesbian mafia in LA for a few years, and that's also hard. It's a tough industry. Played music, did spoken word poetry, and just sort of flitted around and like dated everybody that I possibly could to try to like understand who I was becoming, essentially. So LA was like a really great place to sort of do all of that. It's a sprawl. There's lots of interesting people. The music scene is very loving in the same way that the poetry community is really like loving and supportive. And so, it was a lot of mischief and like trial by fire. And it was a good time for sure.
I've never been, I've only been to the West Coast like once, but one of my best friends has a boyfriend who lives out there, and she's been visiting a lot more, and she's just like, you have to come.
You should.
I really want to go. I really want to. I'm someone who gets like easily sucked into things, and I'm afraid if I go, I'll never want to leave.
That is very possible.
Yeah, I think that's what is like happening to my friend.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, people have such, I think when you get into the conversation around like New York, LA, it's like, they're just like totally, they're incomparable. Like, they're just what they are. And it works or it doesn't. But to say like what's better, or it's like, it's just so, it's like talking about the moon or the sun. It's like,
well, instead of better, how would you compare and contrast them? Like, especially in terms of like the arts and poetry, what would you say are some things that you've seen like stand out there and here, and things that you like or dislike about the scenes there and here?
I mean, I always think of places musically first, and like I was saying like earlier, like LA's legato. It's slow, it's meandering, it's not in a rush. There's no metronome. Everyone's sort of fluid, and it's a sprawl, right? Everywhere you go in LA is 30 minutes. And every little neighborhood feels like its own place. I guess maybe something could be said similar, but like, and then New York's all on top of each other, and it's like really dynamic and staccato and like, you know, like it has like that, at least I'm not a New Yorker, so this is just an observation as an outsider or like a displaced Angelino. But it's New York is like gritty and really demands the most out of you, and you can't hide anywhere, and it's very like a very sobering place.
Yeah.
Where, you know, everyone's like, oh, rite of passage is like crying on the subway, you know. It's just like, and I think there's something like, you know, if Hollywood is like it's the birthplace of Hollywood, so it's a little smoke and mirrors-y. There's a little bit more self-deception that maybe can happen there. Whereas like New York, it's just like real all the time, and there's I think there's no respite from that. But in terms of the community, I would say that like I would think there's a lot of sameness, and I don't mean I just mean that people that are gonna seek out writing communities are gonna be interesting because they're interested, and be there because they need it, like church or air or water. And when it comes to the poetry communities, it's like people just need each other, and it's like this soul growing experiment. And so I don't see them as being that dissimilar. And I feel like now, especially with like the advent of social media and people being like more bi-coastal, like there's a lot more overlap in terms of like everybody that I know in the poetry community in LA, like they probably know everybody that's in New York. There's a lot of like cross-pollination. I think that maybe whereas like the tradition of New York is a bit more academic and a little bit more serious, LA has maybe degraded some of those ideas or those conceptions. I think, and also the music scene being out. I mean, there's a music scene, of course, in New York, but I think there's just a little bit more dirty, sexy naughtiness going on in LA, and New York is a little bit more like of an intellectual hub. So there's just like, but then I don't know. I guess that's just a generalization that maybe I don't want to like push too much, but I feel like some of the LA presses and groups are just like, they're a little bit less precious in some cases. But then there's also this movement in Brooklyn of a lot of like really cool groups of poets that are also getting really unprecious about poetry in a way that's like, it's really just about like coming together and like kind of asking really great questions and maybe playing with form a little bit more, which is really exciting because it's getting everybody back in like third spaces. It's about like being in dialogue and the audience, getting it off the page, making poetry a little bit more lively, which I think is like really exciting, which is why I think I even have a seat at the table because of, you know, getting some poetry off the page and like in a room. That was a very long answer.
No, it's really interesting to think about. I mean, I thought it was interesting when you said like New York is more intellectual, because I mean, I do see it that way, but I also see it as very dirty and very sexy, like dirty in a good way, you know?
Oh yeah. I only ever mean dirty in a good way.
Well, of course, yeah. You can definitely find yourself there and lose yourself there. And I think that really goes for like any city.
Because so much is happening.
Yeah.
And you're altered.
And you're so exposed.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I mean, there is such a culture of like judgment, I think, which is unfortunate, but it's real. And, you know, I've even seen that change in like people I know who've moved to the city. It's like, I just, like, I'll be around them and they're like just casually commenting on everyone in like a way that I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a reaction to living in the city or if it's just like a defense mechanism or something. I mean, I think it maybe, or maybe it's both. I don't know. But I know that living in this area, I've had the opposite reaction. And I've like tried to break down a lot of that you know, because it's like super small town here, which on one hand is like, you know everyone, like, flaws and all, but it's also like, if you want to be accepted, you have to accept everyone, and
Or just let people be.
yeah, or
Because
exactly,
you have
just
no
let people be.
control is like, I mean, yeah, the judgment thing is strange. I mean, we've always had critics
Yeah.
in response to art making, and certainly there are good critics and bad I mean, it's really easy to sit in judgment and not be the one out there with the stakes being high,
Yeah.
and like revealing something of oneself. That is, I mean, it's a different action.
Yeah.
It's very different. But I think it's important to audience and like readership, and that all matters because we don't create in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I think as the artist, you have to get really clear on where you're at, what you have to offer, and figure out how to make that something that, your story is only yours to tell, and that's how you're going to make impact.
Yeah.
And not trying to please everybody else. You'll find your audience. Everybody will. It's just the way that it is. It doesn't mean but judgment, I don't know but I was wondering when you said that, because I wonder if there's an uptick in judgment simply because of the performative nature of like things like social media.
Yeah.
Where maybe people are really trying to find like authentic expression and not like a curated self. So maybe there's like an uptick in judgment because people are maybe spending less time in real with themselves and in alignment, and more like curating an audience.
Yeah, totally.
Which is not what I mean to say. I mean, like, the art, the work, hopefully, because that is rooted in something that takes something from you, the one that's offering it. Hopefully it has legs because it's coming from some place how do I want to say this, where it costs you something to reveal it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the judgment thing, it's just, in one ear out the other.
It's a part of life, I think, and I think more than anything, people are afraid of confidence when they see that in other people. And
they want to like,
yeah, either like take it for themselves, or diminish that in someone else. I mean, I'm not saying obviously that's always the case, but something that I love about the spaces I've been in upstate is I don't feel that at all, even as like typically like a younger person. When I started performing at 18, I was like by far the youngest performer, and I was just totally accepted by everyone immediately, and since then I've always tried to create that space. And I think when you're being so vulnerable, especially with art and poetry, it's like you don't want to get on stage and be like, how is this going to be perceived?
No.
It's like,
oh no, if you're up there thinking about that,
no. But I think a lot of people do. It's like I do. Because I have
here, or just like
I think in general
scenes.
I think in general, like I've had like friends of mine perform here for the first time, and they're like, like worried about what what people are going to think. I mean, maybe I'm assuming, but it's kind of an impression that I get. And I mean, I also know that I felt that way too for a while. It waxed and waned.
Sure.
But I was always like, well, I'm not going to filter myself regardless of those feelings. And I knew they just came of like from a place of not accepting myself. So once I got over that, it was, you know, smooth sailing in that way. And I'm like, fuck the critics, you know?
Because you were your own worst.
Yeah,
critic.
well, exactly. It's like
Yeah.
no one's really, like, everyone knows no one's really judging you. No. But it's
No, they
like,
want it to be good, actually.
Yeah.
I think when people take the time, they come to a space.
Yeah.
Or you're in front, like, the thing is that everybody wants to have a good time. Like, they're
Yeah.
really there to, like,
Oh yeah, I've noticed. I've like,
you know?
I think about it so
Yeah.
much, especially as a host, because I'm like, my biggest worry is like, is everyone enjoying themselves?
totally.
You know,
Yeah.
which is a big thing, and it's like, but I know if everyone is getting on stage and just like being themselves, how could you not enjoy that?
Exactly.
And I love spaces that can create that, and I love when poetry can make you feel inspired to do that too, you know, inspired to like get on stage and perform and put yourself out there. Like, it's not easy to do, like, at all. But I think once you get used to it a bit, it becomes like so natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all just like, I always go back to this. This is like really maybe reductive, but I feel like I don't have kids, but I've spent time around kids and friends that have kids. And I feel like I'm like, well, what's the one thing like little humans are always asking for at the end of the day? It's like a story.
Yeah.
It's like, this is literally like, whether it's oral tradition, which was passed down, which was obviously like the first way, or paintings, or like humans need to see themselves reflected back to know that like either we exist or to have catharsis or to come together as a community and like talk about issues. Like that's the function of art.
Totally.
And theater and like spaces like poetry slams. It's like talking about things that are like the most urgent in the community and in the political system and on and on and on. Like that's like where the discourse happens.
Yeah.
That's where, you know, a lot of shit gets sorted out or questions get asked that get covered in the day-to-day status quo. So yeah, I mean, yeah, enjoyment, catharsis, seeing each other and like getting out of our own friggin' heads and our own experiences and realizing that like what we're going through is not that unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love live performance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my first probably love, if I'm really honest about it, because it can alter you forever if you land in the right room. But it's all about putting yourself out there, either as the viewer or the like artist.
Yeah.
And you can't replicate it. It's like it happens and then it's done and it's ephemeral but it can have lasting effects.
Yeah.
Which is sort of its strange, potent insistence.
Yeah.
It's also like a heightened space to pay attention when we are constantly being asked to be distracted, which I love too. Yeah. Can be a really good ride.
Yeah. Kind of like running.
It's all going to come back to running.
Oh my God. We were talking a lot about running before this.
No, but it is flow, right?
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, you know, I'm an addict. I'm
Yeah.
2 years sober, but I'm always chasing flow.
Yeah.
Because it is spirit, it is channeling, it is getting out of my own conception of things. It is, it's being really present and you know, Mary Oliver says, I think it's Mary Oliver, you know, attention is the beginning of devotion. And so
Yeah.
it's like, where are you putting your heart's attention? And like, for me, the only place where I feel solace or peace is like in flow.
Yeah.
I mean, real, true peace.
Yeah.
So I guess in that way, I'm just chasing.
Oh,
It's-
totally.
It's not an addiction though, because I can't hide in
Yeah.
the flow or in the. I mean, that is where things are revealed, and like it's actually probably the most honest. It's like there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Um,
There is, but
Yeah.
I just think being vulnerable is the only way we can learn to know ourselves. And I mean, especially with like actual physical movement and stuff, it's so visceral. And it's like your body's like working with and against you. And like sometimes that's what poetry feels like too, but it's like your brain. And
or you're like trying to force something, and
Yeah.
you have to just kind of get out of the way.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like
Yeah.
you'll be in a pain, and like if you just ride it out, like it does pass.
It does.
Like, yeah. And then you kind of realize like how much of everything is just sort of like a mind exercise. I mean, the body is implicated, but the body actually is a lot, in my opinion, smarter than the brain. I think
Yeah.
it knows a lot more and has. I mean, that's the thing about. I mean, I'll say straight up, like, I think that for years and years and years and years, I think I was an actor that like left her body behind. I think I was totally disembodied. I loved living my life in my head, because my imagination is like my inner life is very rich, and also can be very like, you know, it has both ability to be like a playground and like a scary place.
Yeah.
And the more I got out of my head and into my body, the more I was, I realized there was more knowing in my body than in my head. Like I think there's a lot of like jockeying that goes on sometimes in our heads that's just not real. For me anyway, I can
Yeah.
speak for myself.
I 100% agree. I mean, yeah, like, I think,
When the body you're just like, wait a minute, this feels good. Like, this feels aligned. This doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm honoring my truth, or this feels like
Yeah.
I'm really abandoning myself. But the body, I think, always knows before, at least for me, this knows what the hell is going on. I feel like my brain is sometimes the last to know.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking of this really strange and random reference right now to this like
Oh, cool.
to this
I'm terrified.
to this YouTuber actually.
no.
He's a competitive eater.
Okay.
His name is LA Beast.
Okay.
Which is kind of also ironic.
I love it.
But his whole thing, like I used to watch him a lot when I was in like middle school, because he was just insane and would like, you know, eat food from like the 1900s that was expired and like, I don't know, try to kill himself or something. Like not really,
Whoa.
but it was really intense. And his whole motto was like mind over matter. And I like every time I was like going through something like where I was like having like my body was telling me not to, I was like, no, like do it. You know? And it's like, I think he like has caused a lot of problems for me, and I kind of want to hold him accountable.
Robin.
No, I'm
yeah.
kidding. So LA Beast, if you're watching this, I have a bone to pick with you. No, I'm kidding. He's kind of an icon, and an athlete and a runner. Crazy. He is a beast. That was a really weird tangent though.
No, I mean, like, yeah. No, but I think, like, back on the running track, though, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, getting back in touch with our bodies, like, is a good thing. I don't
Yeah.
think, like, overriding our, like, system is, I don't know, what's good, what's bad. I don't want to be reductive. I just mean, like, yeah, you can talk yourself out of, like, a gut instinct.
Yeah.
And when I do that, usually regret it.
I think though, like if I'm gonna be real, it's like, it's never really your body. It's always your mind, you know? So it's like, if your mind is telling
Is
you.
it though? Or is
Well,
it
I don't
your
know.
mind translating what your body and your instinct is because
Like, when
I mean,
when
like,
I mean-
sensations. Like, do you,
Right.
like, the truth sometimes, for me anyway, arrives as like a bodily sensation.
Right, yeah.
Like a stomach ache,
Right.
or
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, when I get anxiety, it's very, like, physical. But,
or like a joy. I'm not even just talking
or,
like anxiety. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, all of that. But I just think anxiety is the first thing that comes to my mind. Does that say something
Maybe
about
that's
me?
why I write smut. Maybe it's like a counter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I write smut, but like, I think it is like in response to getting out of my head and into my body. Like, and I
Yeah.
like practices that like encourage that. Because
Yeah.
of course this is involved.
I really love that way of thinking about it. That's really awesome. Like, you just put that in such a simple way, but it really makes so much sense to me.
Well, I have just like anecdotally, like I really love therapy.
Yeah.
I've been in therapy myself, been in couples therapy, and like for years and years and years, I was like trying to like get my sister to like get into talk therapy, and she was like, "Nah, dude, I'm just gonna go hiking in the woods." And I was like, "I swear, like it's so good to like name things and like whatever." And she was right. She was like, it's not really like an either or ultimately, like,
Yeah.
but I really do think that like moving the body moves other things
Oh, yeah.
like that are blocked or stagnant or like haunting you.
Yeah.
And then your brain can like have a reaction to like what's going on. It's not like it's like out to lunch, but I do think it's like a good way to like stop a spiral or like
Totally.
like a story that's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think running has helped me get past a lot of tough moments.
Also, like, it's great for like when you're pissed off.
Well, yeah, like that, if you're just like, huffing and puffing, and it's like, I could just like wallow in this, or I could go on a run.
Hell yeah.
And like, I don't think you'll ever feel worse after. Like, it's impossible. Like, I would say it's probably statistically impossible.
Nah, like, it's chemical. Like,
Unless,
it's
like, you
something-
actually get physically ill.
Right.
But that's different.
That's like still a purging of sorts.
Yeah.
A literal purging.
I have only asked you 2 questions so far, and I have so many questions to ask you.
Because we're just vibe. We're just flowing.
Yeah, I guess this is like kind of what a podcast is. Just
It's a
like
meander.
talking.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about it. I'm a journalist for like, my job or whatever.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks. And so I'm just used to like preparing for things and like having questions for people. But I think when the conversation just is conversating, it's like you gotta follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely flow chasers, like
Yeah.
very clear. But I think that's
Yeah.
like most artists. I think it's just like
That's true.
anything that's like, I think it's spiritual too, though. I think like it's a very like grounding thing. And I think most people are really creative and it's like socialized or conditioned out of them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just think, yeah, to me, like being in a poetry reading is like going to church. Being at a show is like going to church. Ooh, is that thunder? That was
I
very...
know. As soon as you said church.
I know. I mean, yeah, but it's like, you know, I mean, it's moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in absence of any form of like formal religion, I think that like creating is that,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Makes me think of like Christian mystics and stuff. I've been thinking a lot about them recently. And, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, they're really interesting because, like, all we have about them is like just words that they wrote or told someone to write down. And it's like, but it's like their whole life experiences, and it's all just about like something like really esoteric. And I like love that so much. I love things that can't be explained completely.
Yeah.
I love like not having an answer,
Yeah.
which is why I hate math.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I know at like a certain level it is an art form and
I agree.
it has more
Yeah.
questions, but I think I always balked at that in school. I was like, I don't like something with only one right answer. I think that's just,
I hated it.
isn't that too simplistic?
Yeah. I was like, why can't I just make you a graph?
But also I sucked at math.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I was horrid
I
at math.
really, really was. I'm not even going to go there because it's embarrassing how bad I was. But I think I did it to myself too. I was like, no, I got to be bad at this.
Like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, we're in the same. I practiced my signature in that class and like
Yeah.
thought about crushes and like
Oh, yeah.
daydreamed and doodled with my gel pens, you know,
Yeah.
because it was the 90s and the aughts, you know.
Yeah. I
My
love
trapper
gel pens.
keeper,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Uh,
You're
that
like,
sounds
what's
like
a
fun.
I
mean, yeah, like I have no idea.
Oh my God.
No
For
idea.
the folks at home. No. Yeah, it was like this, whatever. I won't bore you with, but I loved school supplies. I was like very into school supplies.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I had my little like plastic pencil case that
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved. I guess those don't ever go out of style.
Mechanical pencils are the coolest.
Yeah. I always have like 5 in my bag at a time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you handwrite when you write poetry?
No.
Are you okay?
No.
What's typically like the process?
Computer.
Okay.
Typing. Because it's like very fast for me. I don't write quick enough for my thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, I know what it's like, but every time you go to write, you're playing catch up with yourself? Oh, wow. You have a really direct line then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Robin.
Thank you.
I'm a little jealous
Oh.
of that.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could turn it off, but it's like,
Nah.
yeah, but then I'm like, no.
No, it's because it's life force.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
no, that's really nice.
Thanks.
I'm a little jealous of that.
I think it's really just something you have to like get used to. I think anyone can do it. I think we put like these like walls up a lot of the time with writing, and it's like we don't want to just like let go and just allow ourselves to write without feeling the need to restrict or restrain or like edit in real time. You know, like I've written poems before where I don't even use the space bar, and I'm just using letters and that's it. And I think even like correcting a typo is like, I mean, I used to be like hardcore, like I wouldn't edit at all.
Very pure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten out of that a bit. I like to edit a bit now,
Yeah.
but honestly, like not really. I'm like only telling you this because I trust you, but like I really don't edit my work still.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely have channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's available to me. I think that I think that sometimes it's about getting quiet enough and still enough and making sure that I don't have some distractions.
Yeah.
And there have been seasons. I mean, there have been seasons where it was just like compulsive, where it was like if the water was turned all the way on, it was on.
Oh yeah.
And so I've experienced that, but I feel like now it's more about ass in chair, sitting down, whether I hear something or not.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just the act of sitting ass in chair, then I start. But I'll give you an example. Like, so when I remember in acting school, and I was a very young actor, and I wanted to feel everything. I wanted to really feel it all. And I had a professor say to me, you're waiting to feel something. You just need to start saying the words and it's going to start happening. And so sometimes I have to just put myself in the space, even if I'm not hearing it
Yeah.
yet.
Oh yeah.
I don't always, there have been nights where I know I'm like, oh, I'm getting something and I have to get up and I have to write it down. And it's like, it's very obvious to me what's going on.
Yeah.
And then there are other times where I just have to try to sit and wait.
Yeah.
Without expectations, because sometimes you're just sitting and waiting.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
I think it's way more.
Sometimes you're just observing and collecting. Sometimes you're grappling.
That's so interesting. Like, so are you like actually physically just sitting down and waiting? Wow.
Getting as quiet as I can, making sure I'm in the room, I'm where my feet are. I'm not like, that's a whole thing. Yeah.
And for you, is it,
It's like about making sure the channels are open and
Yeah.
then seeing, but it's not always, sometimes it's quiet and that's cool too.
and are you a handwriter or a typer?
I do both.
Mm-hmm.
I like the violence of writing on the page.
Yeah.
There's something, I should say that. And I also there was a time where I felt really like I was getting really in my own way. And so I started doing something really tactile to make writing more like play. And that was back in LA. I just started using fridge magnets. And I started doing fridge smut because I thought it was just, I'm really driven and drawn to duality and stuff that's seemingly inappropriate or high low. I like that a lot. The contradiction. I like the tension of contradiction and seemingly opposing things that actually really are harmonious. So I would do that because I was just moving words around. And it became this really tactile, young motor skill child thing where I was also getting out of my own way. So sometimes I have to get out of my own way in different ways. And sometimes that also means different mediums or spending time with music or images or being out in nature. I just don't know, I don't know when it's going to hit. I just know I need to kind of be a bit of a beauty chaser.
Yeah.
Or be where I am and there's so much there. You don't actually have to look that hard. It's just well, what's happening right now?
This is kind of a weird question, but is there something you could think of where it's if you saw this, I mean, I feel like this is kind of a stupid question, and I know there's no stupid questions, but if like the first thing that I guess you could think of, if like you saw this, would it, and it like it would inspire you to write, like what would that thing be for you? Like what is something?
I don't know. If the first thing I thought, it was just bodies.
Yeah. In what capacity?
I just think humans are so beautiful. Like subject matter wise, I mean, I think that a lot of my work is character driven. It's being in relationship to others, and I don't just mean like in obvious ways. I mean like as an observer, a casual observer, a voyeur, an eavesdropper, being in dialogue, intense eye contact, a brush of skin. Like, I don't know. I think that I definitely love nature, and I think it has an impact, but I think that like my primary subject would always be like people.
Yeah.
And sometimes like the distance between them, the things that they're not saying, who we become in a room based on who's in the room with us.
Yeah.
Our private secret lives that we share with absolutely no one. That's infinitely interesting to me. I don't know.
No, those are great answers.
Yeah. No, I don't mean, I mean, like, I just think that humans are just, there's so much there to be excavated and adored and befuddled by. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. So I guess,
No, I think I didn't really phrase that question properly, but you answered it exactly like I wanted. It's something I've never really thought to ask before either, because it's like, it's
what would it be for you?
Gosh, this is like really morbid, but like this morning I ran over a chipmunk on my way to work.
Oh, Robin, no.
I know, it was horrible. It was the first time I've ever killed something driving.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, but I felt horrible immediately.
Yeah, of course.
And like, I think death is something that inspires me a lot. Death and heartbreak and like gross things.
Yeah.
I love gross things.
Oh, yeah.
Like something that you see and you're like it just like it, and it is like kind of a body thing too, because it's like your body reacts to it before your mind does, almost like we were saying before. Like stuff like that, that's like super super visceral. I love.
Yeah.
And I don't love like
no.
I don't love like killing an animal.
No.
That was like kind of one of the worst moments of my life.
You're talking about
lie.
impermanence. You're talking about mortality. You're talking about the only thing that's ever consistent is change.
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio. I love death and rebirth and our edges and oh no, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I think I read something today that was like every poem is an elegy. It's aware of its mortality. There's an urgency to poetry and art where it's like, I know I won't be here, so while I am here, let me be here.
Yeah.
And I want to talk, and I want you to witness that with me, sit with me, witness me.
Yeah.
No, completely.
Yeah.
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 And for that matter, when we talk about people and being in relationship, there's also the presence of absence.
Yeah.
Or grief, or the ghosts of former selves, loved ones, pets. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
what is being human if not being like constantly haunted by so many things?
Oh, yeah.
Choices we made, choices we didn't make, lives we could have lived. I'm greedy. Like the reason I think I was so drawn to acting was because I wanted to live as many lives as possible. And that's sort of the work of an actor. It's like, how do I inhabit this skin and do it justice
Wow.
in this part? How do I, through the eyes of like deep empathy and no judgment, inhabit this honestly, this person, and honor the playwright's writing, in a way that reveals something bigger, or true, or ugly, or grotesque.
Yeah.
Oh man, sometimes I really miss acting because it's like I don't mean this like it is really transformative, but like it is, you get to go to the edges of the human experience, the uglinesses, and you get to inhabit it, and it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of places, like our ugliest moments are just not okay. Yeah. And I think I miss that catharsis sometimes. So that's why the running, and that's why the poetry, and that's why all the things, because like we have all this ugliness in us. And that was like a really great, safe way to sort of explore that. I love actors. I think that they are some of the bravest artists because they are living in their canvas.
Yeah.
And I think things can get really confusing sometimes too.
Yeah. Talk
about like compartmentalization and stepping out of something. I mean, when that can get really twisty. Yeah.
Wow.
At least we can get it out on the page, and there's
Totally.
there's some detachment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, because it's like once you send it out into the world, it's not yours anymore. It's like, well, it's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people because language is, again, incredibly limited.
Yeah. And people,
alive.
Yeah, and people only read things in their own voice. People can't really read stuff in like the author's voice.
Well, yeah, unless the author is like, yeah. I mean, I think there are a few authors that are holding the hand of the reader, grabbing the wrist of the reader, like more ardently than like others, I think.
Like who?
Can they only like contemporary, or does it matter? An author that insists, that grabs the wrist. I mean, I think like a James Baldwin. I think like Ocean Vuong. I think like Maggie Nelson, Eileen Miles. There are people that like you start to like, again, it's like you can't really see or read. It's like I actually think you over identify a little bit, or they teach you a new way of seeing or reading almost, or witnessing. Who else? I mean, there's so many. I'm trying to think of like a specific, but who does that for you? I mean, it could be a filmmaker too. It could be a songwriter. It's like,
I think it's so interesting that you mentioned Eileen Miles because they're like my favorite poet ever and totally changed my life. And before when you were mentioning like, times when the water is just rushing, after I first read their work, it was like I could not stop creating. And I wrote like a whole book in like a month after reading their work.
Was there a specific poem, or was it like?
It was a working life.
Okay.
And there was something about like the terse quality to their work, and I hate this word, but like the simplicity of it. It's like it's so profound, but like they're not using big words. They don't have to overcompensate. And that's like, I think something writers struggle with a lot. I mean, I do all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
like language is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Like I want to embellish everything I do and create. But reading them made me realize there's no need. Because it's what they create through their poetry is so successful, without any glitz and glamour. And I love that because I love glamour and I love drama, but I also love, like, I'm a big fan of Patti Smith. And
Oh my gosh. You mean patron Saint Patti Smith?
yeah,
Yes.
my Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, people like that inspire me the most, and I don't know, like, yeah, writers like that. I mean, there are a lot, but I love that you mentioned Eileen Miles because, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique gift when you feel like someone's inventing something, because in reality, there are no new stories.
Yeah.
It's just how you approach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there are writers that do feel like they're doing something.
Yeah.
That they from nothing.
Yeah, and I don't I guess for me, I kind of I'm not expecting to I don't know, be struck this person is the next Shakespeare or Ovid or something. It's
Oh, see, I'm always looking for that. I'm always looking for that.
But I guess it's I'm looking for it without the expectation.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm always hopeful. And
yeah,
I
guess that's. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, but it can be totally mundane, and it could be coming from a 3-year-old, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And oftentimes it does come from a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I
actually, yeah, I read a really great poem by a 3-year-old in this issue of Chronogram, actually.
I believe it.
Yeah. I'm I didn't know half those words when I was your age. 90% actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I think to your point, I think I was in workshop a couple months back. Shout out Poetry Field School. Shout out Elaine Kahn.
Wait, where is this?
It's online. I'll give you
cool.
the information. It's a really amazing, incredible community that you would really enjoy and would really benefit from having you. It's like a non-MFA program. It's really cool. But Elaine gave a really nice note to the group and also to me, which is be on the lookout for what obscures and what is distracting and what is absolutely pertinent, which I think is a great note generally in life and also in art. But to your point about florid language, but I will say though, there's only one counter, and not that I've just recently come off of reading Ocean Vuong's new novel, and he was talking about sort of excessive description and how that's almost like drag.
Oh yeah.
And how that's
I love it.
And I was
I love the polarities though.
Yeah. I mean, if that's where you're living as the writer, and if that's your lens, that, I mean, whoa, wrist just really cracked. That was very loud for emphasis. Yeah, so like, I mean, again, if there's something driving it, if there's like a life inside of it, then I'm like, I'll eat that up.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I love. I think that restraint, if there's like a real calling for it, if there's a real, like, if it's the way the character talks, it's the way, it has, I mean, because also simple language can take on double. So I think it's all, like, I love all of it. I don't love when people are trying to, when they're when they're not trying to meet their audience.
Yeah.
And be in communion with their audience.
Yeah.
I don't like being talked above, and I don't like be talking down to.
Yeah.
I like when we're right in the pocket.
Yeah.
I guess.
It makes me think of another writer who I discovered this year who also has completely changed the way I think about writing, and that's Gariel Lutz. I don't know if you know her. Okay, well, you have to. I'll send you a few things, but yeah, she mainly just writes short fiction.
Awesome.
But I don't even know how to describe it. It's like,
That's a good place to start.
yeah, it's something that, like, from the get was like, this person sees the world differently. And like, that's such like a, like, I don't know, cliche thing to say, but because like she's not writing about anything that's like extravagant or anything. It's just like working in an office or living with a person in an apartment. It's just like very like normal things, but the descriptions are so dense. And this book, which was her collected stories, I don't know, it was like 600 pages long or something.
Wow.
And it took me like a month to get through because it was just like, there was so much to unpack with every story.
Yeah.
A lot of, like, this was before she came out as trans. And so there was a lot of like dysphoria going on in a lot of those stories in ways that were projected. Like, it was really disorienting for the
Yeah.
reader because there was no baseline for a lot of these. Like, some of them, like, there wasn't even like a plot. But it was just like the most descriptive language I've ever encountered before. Yeah, I'm just like, that was a writer I was like not expecting to ever, I think like ever read in my life. It's like something you read and you're like, how does this exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like broke down my brain a bit and then built it back up and then did that like 10 more times.
I'm stoked.
Oh yeah. I'll send you a few things.
Okay, good.
Yeah, once again, I've asked you like literally one question, but this is great. I am going to ask you one question.
Yeah, bring it.
Because I really want to know about, you openly describe yourself as a smut poet, which I loved. I was like, okay, I love this person. So tell me about that. What does that mean to you? What is smut poetry for people who don't know, and how has that embodied your work and become your work over time?
I mean, I guess in a lot of ways it's redundant. I think that poetry necessarily lends itself to being erotic, and the erotic and the sensual, certainly because of rhyme scheme and stanza and the form, I think, in its varying forms. you know, and the song structure, I always think, again, from a musical perspective, just because of my background. But yeah, no, I mean, I claim that because when I first started writing, it was really in response to falling in love with my partner, my now partner, and just trying desperately to get their attention, honestly, at the time. And so there was a lot of longing. Also, poetry and longing and yearning seemed to go like hand in hand, but without being like too reductive about it. I think in the same way that I was aware that I didn't go to an MFA program. I didn't study creative writing in college. I didn't have any credentials. And so I sort of wanted to just, there was all this pressure at the time in my 20s. I was like, I should do this and I should do that. And I had this compulsion inside of me to write these visceral, emotive, embodied, you know, pieces of smut for a lot of different reasons that were genuine, that were filling needs that I had, and also I think that I think a certain community had. Candidly, I was, you know, dismayed and maybe a bit like bored with some of the porn options that were available to me, that were like more male gazy or not real, like queer or lesbian people. And I had thought like there's a need here, one, because I didn't have a lot of good options, and two, because you know, with imagery that's dictated to you, it sort of takes your imagination out of the equation altogether. Whereas when you're reading something, you're an active participant, you're implicated, you're projecting yourself onto the text. And I really liked the participation of that with a readership. I wanted people to slow down and get into their bodies and like feel something. You know, I think a poem can be arousing and you can have a reaction to it, like any book or any text. But I wanted it to be a little bit more obvious, almost like as a choice. And to me, like, you know, romance novels and smut, it's all been very like looked down upon and as in the canon. And I liked that about it. I liked that it was sort of like base and not well thought of, and I thought, well, I would like to try to elevate it in some way. Not it wasn't intentional, just like I think there's more here that is being disregarded. And I don't think that like I'm the first writer to like consider this, or especially like female or queer writers, where like sexuality is just creativity, is life force, is like a proximity to like being alive, and being present, not disassociated, not anywhere else, but like here for what's happening. And I liked the immediacy of that. And I liked what was also being revealed. I was nervous to write. And I thought, well, something I can write about all day is sex. That's easy. But then what started to happen was, of course, I started to write about other things through that like device. And it was sort of my way to give myself permission to talk about things with higher stakes, ultimately. So that was sort of the journey.
What do you mean by that, higher stakes?
Like something that might reveal like something that that's harder to accept about myself, or that is grotesque or ugly, or
I see.
where I'm like revealing something that is, you know, harder to talk about than like, you know, yearning for somebody. I don't know. I don't mean, I think there's just some subject matter that's easier for writers to talk about. It's like a comfort zone thing. Yeah. And then there's stuff that's like, you know, I'm still like starting to scratch on the door of like, you know, writing about my family, stuff that's like a little bit more fraught in some ways. Yeah. Or like might need their permission at some point, you know. I don't know, but yeah.
Would you say that that smut is inherently sexual?
Oh, no. No. I use smut like very loosely. Like I also think it can mean like trash, garbage, like
Like John Waters.
yeah, like something again, like something that's thought of as like cliche or corny or is full of tropes or isn't intellectual. A lesser subject matter. Maybe seen as gratuitous. I mean, I'm always like sort of on the lookout for like some of that because unless it has like, unless it's like revealing something else, I don't know. But I try not to judge it. To your point about like just like letting it happen.
Yeah. I want to do it now.
Oh, please God, do it. I think that that's a well that will never run dry.
Yeah. I mean, that was like very bold of me to but whatever, like that's just how I am. But
no, I love it. I think that like everybody that I've encountered is excited to like interact with that.
Yeah.
Because I think it is like a deep well.
Yeah.
To pull from.
In what ways has it helped you understand more about yourself?
I mean, I think in some ways it reaffirms a lot of things that I already like know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's like when you're channeling and doing work, you surprise yourself a lot though and trip yourself up a lot. So it has done both. I think that over the years, it's probably revealed to me that I, for a long time, equated my self-worth with my desirability, which I don't think is unique. Especially growing up in the Midwest and having sort of male gaze foisted upon. I mean, this is like anyone that's been brought up or socialized as a girl. I think this is like very common. So, yeah. Yeah. There's been that interrogation. I think also like knowing how much I love writing for like a queer and a lesbian audience. Like that has been like uniquely gratifying.
Yeah.
I love my community so much. I love that, I can write a poem like I cut my nails for you and like only certain people are in on it.
Yeah.
I think it feels like we're all speaking, like we're all fluent in like something and it feels really gratifying. Because I didn't have a lot of access to that growing up. My editor for my book is a trans woman. She's brilliant. So like, it's just about like having access to people in my community and getting to get really close to them and for them to work on edit some of these poems I've been working on for 10 years because I abandoned them and then they've been brought back to life or given a second life. Some of them are completely new. So it's really nice when you have a trusted peer who's also a writer who both shares an experience with you and also has a different set of experiences that are very different. The collaboration of that it's been really great. We're like in the first round of edits, and that will be like something that's going to be birthed next year, like earlier in the year, and a small Brooklyn-based press called Discount Guillotine is publishing it.
Oh my God.
And there'll be all the cool things that come thanks with that, like a little tour, and like I think it's going to be another reason that I get to go out to LA and like see some like friends and read with people that I haven't seen in years, and so it's just like it's like a gift. really for what the relationships that it opens up, selfishly.
Yeah.
It, you know, that's an exciting part of it for me, like personally, I guess, is just access to my community. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you had anything in the works, so I'm so glad you brought that up. I don't know, I had this like weird feeling that you had a book coming out. I don't know why. Maybe you told me, but I don't think you did.
I don't remember.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's possible.
I have weird intuition. So tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what's it called?
Yeah.
Tell me about the press a little more. I'm so curious.
Yeah, sure. So, editor slash producer writ large, her name is Maya Cordero. She's brilliant. Comes from the spoken poetry world, but also like, you know, I think of like Nina being like, I'm a man about town. Like Maya's like a woman about town. Like she just makes shit happen and like has all these great relationships with venues and like other poets and, you know, puts together readings. They do. So Discount Guillotine like has like a bunch of different, like, I would say, I don't know how to describe it, but like they have influence in a lot of major cities, even in like Europe. And then you have all these like poets like putting on readings for this press and for this like collective, which is super cool. And so, yeah, I don't know, like the way this all happened was just like putting myself out there, and I submitted work to them. They published this piece called With Both Fists. A lot of the work of the book takes place, like the backdrop is LA, like by and large, it's a lot about like me running around in my 20s and like what happened with that, but also like there's some like current stuff. And so submitted the work, they published it, and then from there, like I submitted, you know, a full length, and then they chose it with two other writers who are also incredible. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just about like, so I did a reading with them in Brooklyn at a place called Talon Bar. And yeah, just an incredible community again, like just like the coolest people. Yeah, and it's cool because it attracts people that are like, you know, in grad school, getting their MFAs, and like people that like are just like self-taught or like figuring it out. It's like, you know, every kind of writer that one could imagine is like in that room.
Wow.
And yeah, I feel really grateful to be working with Maya and Discount Guillotine, and yeah, just like, it's just, you know, it's nice when you find people that are like stoked on poetry, period, because it's really fun to nerd out about it.
Oh yeah.
Which is like all we've been doing, that and running in this conversation. But like, you know, it's like you feel like you find your people. It can be lonely sometimes, I feel like, and so getting access to people that are like as obsessive and passionate and consumed by this weird thing that we do and we feel called to do, that's like very lucky. I feel very lucky. So yeah, that's how it happened. Just like doing the work and like trying, and there's really nothing else, honestly, to do other than that. And I would say I feel like right now what's happening, because I have friends that are like also just like they're like authors, and a lot of people are moving away from big publishers, big five, and they're like going to smaller presses, and they're self-publishing because they don't want to be told like, oh, this is too niche, or like this is too queer, or like this is too whatever. It's like, no, people that want to write are just making it happen, and they're putting together tours, and they're like going and doing. And it's like being on an indie label. It's like you just go, and like there's less like hemming and hawing at the top and like waiting for permission. I think that this is like a really good time to if you have a book, and I'm sure you do, like get it done, because I feel like there's so much opportunity, and there's like a hunger for it's really cool. It's an exciting time.
Well, congrats. That's so exciting.
Thanks.
Shout out Discount Guillotine. I'm about to be following you in like an hour.
Yeah, you're going to be obsessed.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm sure you're going to be like, published there in like 2
Oh my
seconds.
gosh.
No, I'll like trust. Like they're very cool, and like even just spending a small amount of time with you, I'm like very certain.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the best things about being alive, I think. Is like people validating you and your work.
No, but it's like it's nice to have support,
Yeah.
you know, because you're like sitting at home, channeling, doing like because it's in solitude a lot of it. Like let's
Yeah.
be honest,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like so it is nice to kind of get out of like, I mean, solitude is delicious. Alone time is like how I recharge. It's how I
Oh,
come
yeah.
back to myself. It's how I process things. All of that, you know, pop culture, psychology, psychobabble, all of it really matters. Like, right? Like refueling and filling your cup. But, you know, and then on the flip side, it's like being in a room full of people that like see you. It goes beyond, it's just like, you're like, okay, like I'm like a little less lonely today.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That's what drives me to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because if not, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I would do.
I'm so glad that you do this. I think it's so
Thanks.
cool.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy that this is like a space a space and a place, because yeah, I mean, there's a scene here. There's a lot of
Yeah.
great writers here. I
There
think
are.
Hudson Valley has had like a rich tradition of attracting really incredible artists and writers and thinkers and makers. So, and the fact that you're only like 25 and doing this is like amazing. Like you're gonna have this huge like presence, and you're creating space for poets and writers to gather, which is like a huge gift. Huge
Yeah.
gift.
It is. It's definitely a huge privilege, and I feel so blessed all the time to be able to do this. And you know, for David, you know, sitting here very quietly and just being like the best, and to the community here too for, you know, being quirky and like just themselves. I made so many friends through this, and yeah, I don't know what else to say besides it's like a privilege, and I, you know, never would have thought I would be doing this. You know, I was like, yeah, no, never.
But that's like when things come together.
Yeah.
They just arrive,
Yeah.
and like you don't have too much time to like think about it. You're like, oh yeah, okay, for sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like something I would do or want to do, or like
Yeah.
maybe have been like secretly not voicing, but like somehow I've like asked the universe to like open this like portal, and now I'm just gonna walk through it. Like I feel
Oh,
like that's
yeah.
like the best.
That's how everything happens.
Yeah.
For me.
It's not over engineered. It's not like to your
No.
point about like
This
just
is why I
like,
hate dating apps. Let me just put that
well, I
out
think
there.
those are getting phased out. I think.
I hope
I've
so.
heard they're getting phased out.
I hope so, because I think that they're antithetical, if that's even a word.
I think antithetical is like,
Antithetical.
Yeah.
to-
Not to
it didn't
be-
sound
not to be
right.
that asshole,
No,
but-
please correct me. I think it's antithetical to.
Am I right? I might also be wrong. It's totally possible.
I think you're right.
Okay, David says right.
to everything I believe in. To everything I believe in. Yeah, like I've met all of my favorite people in reality.
But don't you feel like that's because like, to me, I feel like you find the best connections, well, either by happenstance, because like you're just like putting yourself out into the world, which can be hard on some days, or you're like you're in a space where like it's intentional, like
Yeah.
you're like you're going to a reading, or you're like trying something that like scares you, or I feel like the best connections come out of like a shared like,
Discomfort.
well, that could be pretty galvanizing, yeah, for sure. Like, because you're like looking for like, do you feel the same way? Like, do you feel like a
Yeah.
little sweaty too? Because like me too.
Oof, yeah.
You know, like in a new situation, or There's that. There's sort of, yeah, the common discomfort, or like a shared love of something where, if you be like, I write poetry, like to anybody on the street, they'd be like, well, why?
Yeah.
It's nice to not have to like explain yourself, and have like a baseline or like,
Yeah.
like a shared experience. I don't know. But yeah, no, I get off the apps. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I'm not here to
do whatever you
judge.
want.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's not for me. But
you'll have no shortage of opportunities. It's gonna be beautiful.
yes, my recent tarot reading told me so.
I can confirm, and I just met you. I have a feeling it's gonna be awesome and beautiful.
I feel so too. I feel so too. What is your book called?
Well, the working title is called "I Cut My Nails for You." Yeah,
it.
which is a title that's pulled from a piece that I wrote, which was originally published elsewhere. But shout out Dream Boy Book Club out of LA. But yeah, that's the title.
Cool.
It is a work of smut in 3 acts, top, verse, and sub. And yeah, it's going to be, I mean, it's definitely a ride, and an
Literally.
experience. Yeah.
So, when is it coming out?
Tentatively next year, like February, March.
Okay.
But I'll give more concrete information.
Yeah.
My editor and I've been like really like getting shit done.
That's great.
So it may come out sooner, but I'm not in a rush.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Thanks, Robin.
Do you have any other events besides White Noise coming up you want to shout out?
Nothing on the books other than spending more time with you here, and David. With David. He's like, stop
Mainly
shouting
with
me out.
David.
No, that's it for now. But yeah, with the book will be a tour, so
Cool.
yeah.
Well, I'll be your groupie.
Oh my God, please. That would make me, I mean, I would just
like
be
carry
beside
me in
myself.
your trunk.
Well, I mean, like, you're invited to come read for when I do
cool.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like, I'll
Period.
add you to the list. Like, I'm right now I'm like writing up a list of venues and like friends I want her to read.
Cool.
So I'll add you.
Yay.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah. You might have to come to Brooklyn though.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm a driver.
You have your license?
Oh, girl, I got my license. I'm certified.
Because some New Yorkers, like.
I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
I had no choice.
Yeah. You had to
No, I'm a
be.
big driver. I drive so much. I commute an hour to work every day.
It's so good, right?
Yeah. You know what? I like it. I used to not like driving because I got in a really bad accident when I was 18. And I was
Fair.
like, I'm not meant for this. Like, I'm someone,
Yeah.
it's like as soon as something bad happens, I'm like,
I'm
I'm not
out.
meant for this.
Yeah.
Well, when I was younger, I used to be that way. But now,
I mean, that's totally valid. That's
Yeah.
terrifying.
but I've gotten over it. And now I drive so much and so prolifically that it's just like, it's
You're just
like,
cruising.
oh yeah, I cruise so hard. I'm someone who's like, not eyes closed, but kind of just like zoning and listening to like cathedral music,
What music?
like church music, like medieval
Oh.
cathedral music.
Oh.
Yeah, like I get in a very like monastic
I was just gonna
headspace.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
literally took the word from my mouth. That's really sweet because,
Yeah.
like, that's the thing I miss about LA is like the freeways, which everyone's like, "What is wrong with you?" But like, I got a lot of good thinking done,
Yeah.
meditating.
Yeah, I
Processing.
started doing like, I would do like, because iPhones have this cool feature where you can like voice to text.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I
am older than you, but I am familiar with that.
I say nonchalantly. And I write a lot of stuff that way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, when I'm driving, I'm just
Will
like,
it write or try to like infer?
yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
But
based on how you're delivering
pronouncing,
it?
yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes I use words that like my iPhone's like, what? It's like, I don't know that word.
What was the last word it tripped over?
Abalone.
Mm-hmm. What did it say instead?
Do you want me to look?
Yeah, I
I'm
do
not
want to
gonna
know.
remember.
Like,
Um,
I'm just curious.
Avalon,
Oh,
which is,
an honest mistake.
yeah, it messes up quite often, I'm not gonna lie. But also, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, for the most part, it's pretty accurate. And, like I was saying before with my stuff, it's like, it's something that just, like, I like when it just comes out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it like that, it forces you to just keep talking, even if, like, you don't know what to say next. And it's quite an exercise.
That would be really vulnerable.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. You're giving me new.
Try it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, like, in the middle of a run. I do that a lot.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like, if
Wow.
something pops into your head, you know, like, I'm like, okay, I need to write this down, but I don't want to, like, stop and write. So I'm like, ding, and then it's like, once I start talking, it's like, I just continue speaking.
Okay. When do you breathe?
Never. I'm like
Okay.
constantly on the verge of fainting, like, very dramatically. I've, like, had that fantasy
This is
so
why I'm
many
gonna
times.
become your running buddy.
Yeah.
I'll catch you when you.
Thank you. Like, so many times I've been on stage here and I'm like, I want to just, like, fall over and see what happens. I've done that before. Like,
Do you ever think about where to breathe in your poem though? Because I'm a singer, so I've also played
No.
like there's a piece that I have in my book where I like intentionally tell the reader to breathe.
wow, no, I have
Okay.
never thought about it.
Okay.
I feel like it kind of, like, the way I write really lends into performance.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's kind of like implied.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's because it's like I'm, like, just writing my thoughts as I would speak them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's it. Yeah. I feel like I've talked about myself way too much in this podcast.
I'm curious about you, and also like this is just we're
Yeah.
we're just shooting.
I know
the-
this
we're
is,
shooting
like,
the shit.
honestly my favorite podcast I've done
my
so far, because I feel like usually I'm like, okay, I need to, like, get through all my questions and make sure, like, people really understand this person, but I'm like, what am I getting from this?
Oh no, my favorite podcasts are when like there's really like a conversation. Like
Yeah.
I like when like
I guess I, like, had no idea what a podcast was when I started this.
what I mean it's always changing too.
No, I know, I'm just
right?
kidding. Yeah.
Like
I just, yeah.
yeah.
It's anything, really. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just people discussing things. And we have, like, discussed things, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think there's been, like, one discussion, at least.
I think there's been like yeah, it's been a lot of good, but like also we should also like get coffee for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like actually.
Yeah,
But,
totally.
like, also, yeah, no, you'll do a reading with me.
Yeah.
I'll introduce you to the folks.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And-
feel so lucky, like, to have access. I think that, like, part of growing up is, like, kind of embracing, like, loneliness is different than solitude, but what I will say is that when solitude tips over into loneliness, I'm like, I always feel held by poets and, like, artists.
Yeah.
And then they, like, also become friends. Like, I just feel like without sounding like so like Pollyanna, like, and that's fine if I do, like, that to me is one of the greatest things, because it, again, it's just like, oh, there's a dog barking, but yeah, it's ambient.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's part of my community too. Yeah, no, I think that's like, yeah, it's kind of the whole thing.
It is kind of
It's
the whole
kind of
thing.
the
That's
whole
kind of why I
thing.
kind of do this.
Yeah, and now I met you, and like
Yeah.
we'll like be buddies, and we're gonna run
Totally.
together, and you're
Yeah.
gonna come do a reading for, like, it's all good. And then
Yeah.
when your book comes out, it's just like, it's so great, because it's not, there's room, and there's
There's
excitement.
so much room and there's no competition.
No, because it's like, you can't, like, that's kind of the coolest thing about like being a poet. It's like, judge it all you want, but you can't really negate my experience.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It
And
really
you're either
is.
into it or you're not, and that's fine.
And you can
That's
never say
cool.
it's about money, because
No.
we know we're making no money from this.
No. And it's not about anything other than, like, honestly, just like, you cannot get away from it. It will have its way with you. You either suffer by avoiding it, or you will go to it, and it will be its own thing.
Yeah. I know this chipmunk will haunt me if I don't write about it.
Yeah, no, and you will write a beautiful elegy for the chipmunk,
Yeah.
and yes,
And all the other chipmunks who
and
have died.
they will be honored,
Yeah, I hope so.
their memory.
I just hope he didn't have a family.
I mean, I think everything has a family.
I know, you're right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Robin.
It's okay.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad.
Or like a newborn baby or something. I don't know.
He could have been uniquely unique. What is it? It's conception, the
Immaculate-
immaculately. He could have been.
He
Or like
could have
a
been the
science
one.
chipmunk.
But then he would be the one, and I would have killed the one.
I mean, they might have done their due diligence and made multiples. You don't know. It's
Yeah.
all simulation.
I know, you're right. Well, what a pleasure this has been.
Yeah, a total pleasure. I adore meeting you. I'm
Yeah.
excited to read your stuff.
Yeah,
and
I'm so excited to hear your stuff. I'm like edging to hear it.
I'm
again.
really pleased that you are edging to hear it.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna be great. I'm gonna pull some stuff out of the woodworks too
Okay.
that I think may hit.
Yeah.
I'll see. Or maybe I'll write something entirely
Please.
new.
Please.
Yeah. I
My
probably
editor
will.
just wrote her first like smut poem in a while the other day, and I was like, this
Wow.
is so hot. I'm like so glad this has happened. Like, I'm so glad.
I need some
this is
recommendations
happening.
too from you, like some poets to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this White Noise Night Coffee Sessions with Katie Sims. This has been so fun. I know you guys were probably curious about the 20 other questions I had, but I promise you they weren't as interesting as our conversation.
Or we could do a part 2. It's fine.
We could do a part 2.
I live 5
I know,
minutes down
I know
the road.
David would love that.
Hudson Valley poets.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I think we only got the
Or
tip
I could
of the
interview
iceberg.
you.
Okay. Okay.
And I will
You
start
kind of
with,
did a
who
little
is
bit.
Robin?
And now we will be signing off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. White Noise signing off. Yay.
So fun.